Hi, I'm Imogen Lamport from Inside Out Style, and I've been asked the question quite a few times about how to dress youthfully as you get older. It's what many people say is, I don't want to look like Mutton dressed as lamb. So Mutton is old sheep and lamb, of course, is young sheep. So when you're young, you can dress like lamb because you are a lamb. But as we get older, we don't want to look too try-hard, but we still want to look modern and youthful because that says I'm still active and vibrant and forward-thinking and up with the times. So how do you do this? Well, some of the things you might want to consider are the fabrics you choose. There are some fabrics that were developed in different eras. So say tencel was a fabric of, I don't know, the early 90s or mid 90s. So if you're still wearing tencel, it's one of those things that it actually looks a bit dated and therefore old and frumpy. So think about when you saw that fabric, and is that fabric still a kind of current modern fabric that you could buy today? Also with fabrics, think about the quality of the fabric. As we get older, we're expected to be keeping our wardrobes for longer. We're not into the disposable fashion that the 16-year-olds are into. So therefore, look for higher quality fabrics. Like you'll find that a more dense weave, it'll be a higher quality wool or cotton or a viscose or a silk or a cashmere, those kinds of things, rather than the lower quality fabrics. And these garments are going to last longer too because they're made of better quality fabrics. Think about things like patterns. When I look at patterns, say something like a natural floral pattern can look great on a 20-year-old, but when you put it on a 50-year-old, it actually looks old and frumpy. Or too young, it depends on the floral and the garment, but it's something I'm very wary of, is that kind of floral. A stylized floral though is quite different and can be worn by someone who is getting a bit older. So think about things like that. Also think about things like frills. That if you associate frills, so I think of my daughter, she's young, she wears little frilly tiered skirts and things like that. So the frill on the bottom of a skirt or dress is something we associate with children. So when I see women over the age of 40 or so wearing dresses with little frills on the bottom, it tends to look a bit try-hard, like you're trying to look really young. And it looks a little bit out of place. But then we don't associate, say, a beautiful kind of frilled neckline that you'd find on a beautiful, silk chiffon blouse with someone who's young. So it's not like you have to abandon all frills if you happen to like them. It's just be aware of where you tend to see them most commonly. And is that a garment for someone who's younger or older? And then also think about how much skin you want to show. When we're young and everything about our body is tight and the skin is gorgeous, we can show a little bit more off. As we get older, it's better to be a little bit more circumspect. So I tend to think of not more than one area of skin at a time. So if you're showing off your décolletage, don't be wearing a mini skirt at the same time because that's when it tends to look a little bit try-hard. And also I tend to think for women as they get older, a skirt that finishes just above the knee is a much more flattering length than one that's, mid-thigh, because that also tends to look like I'm trying to be younger than I am and I'm trying to retain my youth, and it just doesn't really fit and hasn't got the sophistication that you want to have as you age. And I think it's one of the joys of getting older is we actually become more sophisticated. We have something that the youth don't have, is that we get to be sophisticated, and it's much harder for someone who's 20 to actually appear particularly sophisticated. So they're just some of the little tips I can think of that might help you when you're thinking about what should you wear so that you look youthful and modern, and not old or frumpy, and not like you're trying too hard to be wearing your daughter's clothes.